Okay, welcome to Chapter 2, Lesson 1. Guys, page 44. Let's see, actually it's 44. 42, 43. And we're going to be going over a basic checklist for all public speaking, as well as writing. And this writing is exactly the same that we can do when you're writing any kind of papers for any other kind of class, as well as public speaking. The basic checklist, which we'll be going over here, involves analyzing your audience. Who are you actually writing for, or who are you speaking in front of? Researching the audience and the purpose of what you're doing. And then once you research it, you get your support ideas for the purpose of your writing or the purpose of your speaking, organizing, draft, editing, and then getting feedback. Feedback, we actually call in ROTC constructive criticism. You will be criticized, you'll be constructive criticism, positive and negatively, by all your peers. When we actually do the public speaking, we'll be recording you right here. You'll be, your public speaking part will be 3 to 5 minutes. It'll be on a topic of your choice. We'll be going through it, and you'll be doing public speaking here. We'll record this, and then we'll have your peers critique you. The writing, that all this basic checklist. We have two different options for the basic writing. One is a project of articles that you'll be going through here. I'm really starting today on your lesson that we'll be going through today. But really, for teenagers and for your phase of life, not only this should be how you write papers and articles for your other classes, but in this class, we're going through your resume. I'll be actually giving you a full 1 hour about how to write a resume for a job or a job interview, or a school, or a after high school experience that you're trying to. Maybe you're trying to get money. Maybe you're trying to get a scholarship. We have students here every year that apply for this Flynn Scholarship, which is the top scholarship in Arizona. They win it. They have their act together when they go through resume and they go through interviews. The interview process is something that comes after all of this. I will be giving you a lesson and teaching you how to go through an interview process to apply for jobs and to try to get into schools and follow your dreams. So that's kind of how this basic checklist is good, not only for writing, but also for speaking. Okay? Okay, from your book, basic checklist. They tell you about it right up front. We talk about the actual purpose of the basic checklist is to go through a process. On page 43, let's go through the tables. How about the number 3s in the tables? Starting on page 43, talk to me about the purpose and the basic checklist. What exactly is the basic checklist? Number 3s. Yes, what's the first step on the basic checklist?
Getting organized. Analyzing your purpose and your audience. Your purpose is your reason for writing. The audience is the people to whom you are writing. Who are the main audiences of lunch lines? What are their interests? Their bases? Their hot buttons? How much do they know about your subject?
All right, sounds great. So let's say you're writing a resume for a job. Tabitha, what job are you looking for getting?
Going to Target.
Okay, so you're a teenager interviewing for Target, and you want to write a resume. What would be the purpose of your resume?
Like the reason why you're doing it.
Yeah, why do you want to get the job, right? And what's your goal in getting the job? So that would be who would be your audience when you're going through a resume to apply to Walmart or Sonic or who's your audience?
The hiring manager.
The hiring manager. Do you know who the hiring manager is?
No.
You have to.
If you're smart, you know who you're going in front and interviewing, right? So like if you go interview for a job at at Walmart up there at Gateway Mall. It'd probably be smart, or at Walmart here. I know Hilda is the manager. It might be good to know who the manager is or who's going to be hiring you so that you can figure it out. I promise you, when I came here to interview for my job to start this ROTC in the year, 2004, 2005, I certainly knew everything about Ms. McCraley, who hired me, as well as the school, and you do your research. So that's analyzing your purpose and audience. Number 2, what's the next step?
Conduct research to support your ideas. What types of stories will you need? How will you get material for each of them?
All right, well, let's continue with the resume theory. So now you've analyzed, you know your audience is going to be the manager, but then how do you conduct research for your resume? Yes, sir.
You could like internet search your manager and your store.
You can certainly do that. Yes, I mean, when you go interview, like I said, here at the high school, I sure show up knowing as much about the high school as I can. How many middle schools there are, how many teachers there are, what sports there are, what are they in the paper for, and you research and you try to find out the most you can about the organization that you're writing this resume for. What's the next step?
Support your ideas, assemble and arrange your facts to support the logic and or position.
So let's say you're interviewing for a job at Target. What kind of characteristics do you think the Target person who's looking for an employee, what kind of characteristics do you think they're looking for?
Somebody that would easily memorize the store.
Okay, trustworthy, good memory.
Customers.
Okay, so then all these points, these characteristics, when you're writing your resume, would you write on there for a Target interview, love to play Mortal Kombat video games? Is that something the manager of Target is looking for in an individual to hire?
No, sir.
No, sir. That's probably true. So when you're supporting your ideas, what kind of characteristics on a resume for a job at Target would they want to hear? Quiet. Go ahead. Good grades. Are you trustworthy? What else? Cadet Smith?
I don't know.
You don't know what somebody at Target would want to know from us?
Other job experiences.
Job experiences. Have you ever volunteered somewhere? Have you worked somewhere? Yes, sir.
If you're hardworking.
If you're hardworking, again, have you ever volunteered? Oh, by the way, do you think in this town, does it help for Tabitha? She goes to volunteer. She says, oh, yeah, I'm in junior RTC. I've done this many hours of community service. Do you think that would help? I think that would help in this town, right? Okay, next. What's the next point in the basic checklist, guys?
Get organized, create a story list. Newspaper editors call this the story budget. Use the patterns of writing, figure out how you will structure your good story.
Okay, structure a good story. Structure a resume. Cadet Reed, how do you get organized when you're writing your resume?
You can base it off of like grades, experiences, job experience, and where do you interview. Keep it all in order.
Keep it all in order, and you in your mind, and I'm going to give this to you when I go through the resume workshop, but basically you organize it so that it's easy to see. I want you to know, last year I had a person apply to the Air Force Academy, and I said, send me a resume, because I'm getting ready to interview them. They sent me a resume that they called a resume, but it was 2 pages of just lists of everything they've done since 6th grade to 12th grade. It was not organized at all with grades, extracurricular, jobs, sports. It was not organized, it's a list. And I even sent it back to him. I said, well, is this the resume that you're sending in for a $420,000 scholarship? Oh, yes, sir, here's my resume. I mean, that told me the individual did not even search it on the internet, right? I mean, to check it out. They didn't even put any thought about it. They just listed it. Do you think I care that they got the math award in 7th grade when they're applying for a $400,000 scholarship at the Air Force Academy? No, you got to be kidding me. So anyway, they didn't do that well. But that's the whole point, is getting organized. Next point, next table, please.
Draft and edit, write the stories, then read them carefully and make any needed changes.
So draft and edit. What would you do for drafting and editing for a resume? Yes, sir.
Like check for like spelling errors and stuff.
Spelling errors, yes, exactly. Does that just mean go, what is it, F7? Does that mean, hey, I did F7, there can't be any spelling errors, right? Is that right?
No, yes, sir. Sometimes the words are wrong.
I will tell you a story on your peers, is I had an assignment recently, and we talked about, it was a writing assignment relative to a principal in high school. How do you spell the word principal in high school? How do you spell it?
P-R-N-C-I-P-A-L.
Where's the guy?
Principal, P-A-L, right? Is that word related to Bernoulli's principle?
No.
How is that spelled? I-P-L-E. Bernoulli's principle and the principal of school, they sound like censor, right? They sound alike, but they aren't the same word. But I had 3 individuals that mixed that up. Do you think that makes me feel like I hit F7, sir, I did spell check, and they're wrong? Would you hire that individual? Okay, so I'm just telling you, you might want to draft and then have your parents, your brothers and sisters, your friends look at this resume or this paper before it goes out, because I'm telling you, spell check does not catch a lot of things, and it makes you look especially unintelligent if you're using the wrong word completely versus just misspelling it. Okay, draft and edit. Then lesson 6, or point 6, what else do you do?
Fight for feedback. Show a draft of the stories to your classmates, teachers, and a lunch project advisor. Analyze their feedback. Make changes where necessary.
Okay, so you're going to apply for a job at Target, and you have your resume, and you've organized, and you've done it. Whom might you send that to in order to check it out?
Couple pages.
Well, if the person is interviewing Tabby as an old white-haired guy, you might find some other old white-haired guys that want to look at the resume, right? If you're applying for a teacher's job to a principal, you might want to give it to a teacher that's already been hired and already been through the process. She might give it to, how old are you? 15. She might give it to an 18-year-old buddy who's already working at Target and goes, hey, how does this look? That's exactly what you want to do. I bring the example, I talked to you before. If you're going to interview at a job that has specific needs, such as a nursery or such as a tattoo parlor, you're going to have different type of things on your resume, right? And if you want to get a job at a tattoo parlor being an artist, you probably want to go to a tattoo parlor artist who's doing it right now and say, hey, what does this look like? When you're applying to the Air Force Academy and you want to fly jets, you might want to talk to somebody who's flown jets or been a doctor or been a lawyer or worked at the VA or any of that stuff. That's all makes sense. That's kind of how you go through this basic checklist. How about, let's see, everybody pull out a piece of paper, please. Do a quick write. This is also on the top of page 42 here, but I'm going to read it to you. Question? Quiet. Okay, imagine that a new community service organization at your school, like Junior ROTC, he's decided to sponsor a program called the Lunch Project. We're going to make, packaged, and deliver meals for a local outreach center. Let's talk about an outreach center. Let's say over here, let's say, did y'all know there's a teenage shelter up here on the top of the hill on Willow Creek for kids that are in transition with their families. They stay up here, the teenage shelters. So we're actually going to get a lunch project for the teenage shelter to do that. The shelter says food for the homeless in your community. Not homeless, but just people who are transitioning. One committee of the Lunch Project has the job of publishing a 4-page monthly newspaper about the program. The newsletter, called the Lunch Lines, will go to students, alumni, parents, teachers, local business, and community members. So here at JROTC, we're trying to get some food for lunch for our shelter up here right near us that has, actually there's a lot of Prescott High School students there. And we're trying to produce a newsletter. So now you are the editor and you're a writer for this Junior RTC letter. You have to think about the purposes of the newsletter. What are we trying to do with it? Maybe we're inventing this, so we probably want to inform people in the local area. Want to promote the program. We're trying to get donations from people that are interested in helping teenagers. And maybe talk about some of the teenagers they help and how you're only in the shelter. They only stay there. Turning Point, that's what the name of it is. They're only there for a little time. But you need to think about the type of stories that you and other writers might want to cover. On your piece of paper, make a list of 5 specific story ideas, and then we'll pair and share. All right, so go for it. We'll have a few minutes to do that, please. You need to read any of this. Like I said, it's on the top of page 42, the quick write scenario. One more minute. Okay, everybody can take time now to share it with the people in their table. See who has different ideas.
You don't help.
For the teenage shelter.
And such, and compared to other
Okay, guys, let's bring it back. So, when we went through that exercise, you started to come up with different ideas. How about somebody tell me a unique idea that somebody else had that you never thought about? Yes, sir.
Nine was saying how we could also like teach them how to like recycle and stuff.
To what? Cycle?
Recycle.
Recycle. I like that because I'm a tree hugger. I like that. So you could organize that as part of the process. Not only have lunch, but start to set up a recycle program at the shelter. That's a great idea. What else? What other new ideas did anybody learn? Think about. Come on. Somebody has something new. Let's go. Yes, sir.
Fundraisers for the shelter.
Fundraisers, and that would also involve getting skills to raise fund, which is always something you need to learn as a teenager.
Right.
How about get the students involved at the shelters so that they can have those same skills, right? That's a good idea. What now?
I put down a raffle.
A raffle to raise money. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, guys, turn your pages over. And now, when we talk about the basic checklist here, your goal is to think about how not only are you going to be writing your resume, which we're going to probably be doing here by the end of the week, but public speaking. When you use this basic checklist, like I said, it covers the other process of public speaking. Everybody in this room will be able to have a 3 to 5 minute speech about a topic of your choice. And Cadet Johnson and Cadet Rosman, some of you Hoffman, y'all have seen my deal, and you've done this before. So guess who'll be the first to volunteer to come do this and demonstrate this online to all my first years? Woo! Woo! Yes, the older cadets will do this. All right, basic checklist. Here's the picture of the basic checklist we went through. Think about how this applies to you guys doing your public speaking. And what we'll do, let's see, how do we do this? I guess we'll say the audience for your public speaking, and we'll change this as we go through the year. The audience right now will be your peers, okay? It's not like the audience will be a bunch of old white-haired people or something like that, old people, but they'll be your peers, okay? What kind of purpose? Let's see. Your purpose for your speech will be to inform, mainly. You're not trying to inspire them, but the purpose for your speech will be to inform them because you're telling them about something that you really care about. What's a hobby? Give me some hobbies you guys do. What are hobbies? Basketball. What else? BMX, motocross, mountain biking, hiking, airsoft. Okay, so those are all options. Those are all options that you guys can choose for your purpose. So everybody on your piece of paper for your public speaking, write down right now in 30 seconds, what is your purpose? Come up with something that you're going to tell everybody else. It could be why I wear red shoelaces. It could be why I wear black shoes. Why do I love to wear my green shirt? Or one of your hobbies. I don't care. Why do I live in Prescott? Why do I love Prescott? Why do I hate Prescott? Why do I love Prescott High School? What is my favorite hobby? Okay, 30 seconds, starting now. Write your purpose on the piece of paper. Don't talk. How about if it's something you're going to tell somebody else about? Inform them.
Can I read two?
You can have two. You'll end up doing 2 speeches at least this week, this summer. This week? Not this week, this year.
This week.
You're creating a purpose statement, a single sentence that sums what you're going to do your speech about, your talk, your bottom line. Okay, 30 seconds is over. Everybody should have something down there. Your audience that we're talking about. We're talking about your audience, and like I said, your peers. So underneath your purpose statement, put on there that your audience is your peers, meaning teenage students at Prescott High School. What is the hardest thing about public speaking, guys?
You stand out.
The public.
The public. What is the hardest thing?
Not like people.
Audience entertainment.
Yes, not be boring, right? Not be boring. Oh, that's easy. Okay. So then, one thing we talk about is tone. When you're supposed to instruct people and teach them, you probably don't want to be real boring and stand up here and talk about how exciting BMX is because it's really boring. And that, has anybody ever been to a speech? Or how about a church service where the pastor talks and talks and talks and talks? Or a teacher that talks and talks like I teach and you'll fall asleep and I have to wake you up. Yes, sir.
Let's raise my hand. What about the sermon?
Oh, okay. So you've had this.
Singing is what.
So when you're doing this, you need to make sure your tone is effective. All right. So now you have your purpose and you have your audience. You need to research, which kind of in this situation, since this is the first public speaking. What could your research be for this public speaking?
Previous knowledge.
Previous knowledge, that really is true. I'm trying to keep this simple, right, for the first thing. If we come to the spring and I assign you your speech, then you may not know. If I say you must do a speech, 3 to 5 minute speech on General Patton in World War II, then you may not know that much knowledge about him. Or Stonewall Jackson from the Civil War. You may have to do research. Where do you do research, guys, for your...
Internet.
The internet is where a lot of you guys do.
Books.
Sometimes
I go to the library also because the internet... Oh, I'll even...
the internet works until it's
I told you all about... I had an assignment a while back about... And the cadets were copy-pasting Wikipedia.
No.
Everything was spelled wrong. Okay, well... Anyway, what I'm saying is the internet's fine. Don't get me wrong. It's, by the way, a lot better than it used to be. But I would also suggest to you that books and all and library, I mean, touchy-feely, you can take it home. You can do it real easy. It's a good way to do internet research if I give you an assignment that you don't know. But on this one, it'll be previous knowledge. But what if you're doing a talk about BMX? And you're just sitting there talking. You think anybody does a speech and they actually do talking about something that they don't know about and they come up wrong on the facts?
Yeah.
Like every day of your life. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Actually, I'm sitting here talking like this, teaching a class. I've had, a half dozen times this year where I said, well, I think this or I think that, and I've corrected it. Using the internet, Google, of course, is the latest internet option. Do you think Google's going to be around forever?
Yes.
Yes.
Sir.
You guys are not old enough to know that things change, right?
MySpace and Facebook.
Anybody ever heard of something called U.S. Steel? There you go.
Yes.
Has anybody ever heard of something called Microsoft?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Is Microsoft going to be around forever?
No.
Ancient. Apple. Anyway, I'm just saying, right now, does anybody use Ask Jeeves?
No.
That's a great point. Do I have his? What is Ask Jeeves?
Sounds like a disease.
Oh, it's a disease. I love it. I'm glad that's recorded. All right, so no, here, that's exactly right. Ask Jeeves was a Google before Google was around. And I'm sure that at one time, whoever was investing in Ask Jeeves thought that Ask Jeeves can be around forever. And so whenever the Air Force, right? Whenever the Air Force produced this book, right? You know, I don't know what year it was. Now, look on the front. Tell me what year this book was produced.
2003.
2003, sir. 2003, 2006. No, 2006 is what I see, right?
2003.
All right, 2006. That's 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And guess what? You guys never even heard of Ask Jeeves. That's really funny. So guess what? In 6 years, what you think is just fabulous here, you may not even know what Google is. That's pretty funny. So you need to find out, and I tell you what, if you absolutely believe everything you copy on Wikipedia or the internet, you will fail some assignments. It's just a fact. You need to look at the origin of it, whether or not it matches other people. It's a fact. Okay, supporting your ideas. You're trying to convince and talk people about, what's your subject here, Cadet Rossman?
Why the Earth is doomed.
Why is the Earth doomed? He's trying to support his ideas. So he needs to do research and figure out why the Earth is doomed, because an asteroid's going to hit it, or like my son would say, in a zombie attack, okay, or whatever. I don't care what you... For a controversial question or problem, a zombie attack, okay, you might arrange a logical argument, okay, and have good evidence. Has anybody ever heard that you can get a statistic for anything?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you can, numbers can convince you anything. I mean, we just went through a presidential election. Did anybody hear all the numbers and statistics that they quoted on these presidential elections? So you might want to have your ideas together, right? Your ideas together, so that you can provide good evidence. Who is going through this right now and trying to convince Congress to do something?
Obama.
It's trying to convince. It was all about what issue? Syria. That's a big issue right now. So Congress, as a matter of fact, who was it? John McCain, right? Our local Arizona guy. I saw him on TV last night talking about this right here. Evidence. Evidence of a chemical attack. And what is your definition of evidence? Just because we have, eyewitness reports, is that really evidence?
Nope.
Or is it hair samples or video or blood samples? So you need to have lots of good evidence to back up your story. Logical arguments. Matter of fact, again, President Obama is now trying to get permission to go and respond to this chemical attack. On TV last night, his logical argument was, if we do nothing now, then how is that going to keep other people from using chemical warfare in the future? That's kind of logical. As a matter of fact, this is the first time in the 21st century, which is a lot of your old life, people have been killed by chemical attacks. So if we don't stop it now, logically, how is that going to keep the Canadian president or the Iraqi president or the Iranian president from, who do you know? Is it sounding crazy? Syria, do you realize Syria was a tourist destination, just like Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean. Everybody would go there and see. It was very stable. This guy, what's his name, President Assad? Right. He's very rich and has yachts and boats, and it's a tourist Very stable country. So who's to say in 5 years, Canada or the Bahamas, the Virgin Islands, didn't take chemical weapons out and go kill all the people because they don't like them? I'm just saying that this happens. So you have a logical argument. In this first speech I give you guys, you're simply informing. But what if I said you must convince people that the world is going to end?
I mean,
You must convince people that BMX is the best BMX is the best biking experience. So if you do that, you have to give them a lot of logical arguments. Okay, being organized. I told you that for your resume, you must be organized. What about your 3 to 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Well, the experienced people, the second, third, fourth years, can you go past 5 minutes? No, you get an F. Boom. What? You can't. You got to be organized. What if you stop talking? What if you stop talking? Okay, sir, I'm finished. And I go 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So then what happens? You got to have filler. You got to pray that your friends are asking questions, right? Ask questions. You need to organize this. Has anybody ever had somebody who loves to talk and talk and talk and talk, and they talk too long, and they repeat each other, and they repeat each other? That is not very good. That is not very good. So, when you're organizing and when you're informing, of course, if you're doing a presentation such as our lunch project, you would have pictures, like the food triangle, or if you're trying to persuade someone about your different hobby or whatever you're informing, you might want to draw a picture up on the thing. Hey, this is how we do stuff. You have different ways of informing them. You can, if you're doing a speech about like the history of junior ROTC, somebody asked me, actually the Pentagon. I'm supposed to go do a talk about my years at the Pentagon. Should I go through in a chronological order? Yes. Or another way of doing it is a geographical order. Saying, hey, I was at the Pentagon for 3 years. I worked in this one section of the Secretary of the Air Force one time, but then I worked in another section of this. So same thing for the lunch lines. Do you want to talk about fundraising, one section, and how to get the food, another section, how to help the customers, another section? You need to think about how you're going to do this. I expect you to be organized when you do your talk, just like I expect your resumes will be organized when we get finished this. Persuading. I will probably after Christmas ask you to do public speaking and try to persuade someone. And that's going to be kind of tough. Persuading someone is a logical actually, I just had a organization who are Veterans for Peace. And their purpose is that we spend too much money for wars. And so I'm going to go have a speech with them and talk to them about their ideas. They're going to try to persuade me, and I'm going to try to persuade them. All right, we will stop here today. Room 10 Hut. Dismissed.